Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. In this episode we're going to be covering North Africa and fighting the Scipii. But we have a bit of stuff to get to before that. So, right off the bat here, we have this army that we're going to be advancing up to capture this settlement from the Brutii. And since we have the catapults, we're going to be able to capture it right away. This was really great for two reasons. One, obviously, because, hey, capturing more territory is kind of the goal of the game and always great. But secondly, because this effectively pushes back where we need to defend, because the AI in Rome that I've seen rarely ever goes for settlements behind another settlement. So they always kind of go for the one that's closest to them and attacks that one. So I don't know. That's a little odd quirk. So that's great. We capture up here. We capture Denmark up here from the Britons, which is also good. And we're also going to be taking. Well, not taking quite yet, but we are going to be laying siege to the last Spanish settlement, and so their days are very much numbered. But yeah, meanwhile, our army here in Italy, we basically kind of decide how I want to do this. So I end up putting some of the units in as a garrison, and I also pull most of the garrison out of Rome. Because, like I said, I want to keep this battle going. Now, I actually, some of this footage here got corrupted. And I auto-resolved the battle, but I missed I missed some of the footage of that. So that's kind of why that looked a little bit weird there. And then we lay siege to this place. Yeah, I didn't want to clarify that because when I was going back to edit the footage, I couldn't find a clip of where I was like, hold on, why can't I find a clip of the auto-resolve? And it got corrupted there. So I do apologize for that. That was a mistake I made, and that is the reason why I split up my recordings and don't have it as a big long one, because I forgot to split it up, and the tail end of it got corrupted. So we now laying siege to that settlement. Now, as you saw, we're moving our navy around, and then this one right here, we're going to recruit the mercenary hoplites. I was actually going to recruit the other guys as well, but I kind of opted out of it, because I figured, the hoplites will be enough. So we go ahead and push that army back, and I was going to actually attack the army, but then I was like, well, we're in striking distance of the city. We're going to just attack it and capture it. So, at this point, we have all but one city on the Italian peninsula. So, that's really good, because that was my goal that I stated previously, was I wanted to do a rapid advance down southward in Italy. But here we conquered the Spanish, finally finished them off. And that's pretty great. Now we can start pipelining forces from Iberia to, honestly, they'll probably end up in North Africa, just because it'll actually be faster to put them on ships and send them that way. Though some of them might end up going an overland route and end up in northern Italy. But right here we have the Scipii attacking us. I actually forgot to include any footage of this. I don't remember if I showed them attacking the settlement in the first place, but here we have, they've gathered up a lot of rams, and they've attacked it. Now, I actually screwed up because I had thought that in my preparations I had upgraded this settlement to have stone walls. Well, I hadn't. I had forgotten to do that. Or not so much that I had forgotten, but like I kept meaning to, but I was spending all my money doing stuff other places that were kind of a little more immediate. And this one kind of fell to the wayside. So I ended up not getting stone walls here, which, as you can see, these palisades are not going to do a great job of protecting us. But I had one hope. I had 2 units of archers, so I was turning them onto fire arrows, and I was going to have them hopefully try and catch at least 2 or if I could catch 2, maybe, and hopefully 3 of the rams on fire, that would definitely be enough that I could easily defend the rest of the breaches. So, and right here, as you see, I have a couple units of Hastati, and then 4 or 5 units, I believe it's 4 units of Princeps, and then a decent number, I believe it's, 5 units of Legionaries and a Praetorian. So overall, I actually had a decent army here, especially because the Scipii are the weakest of the Roman factions, so their armies are usually pretty outdated. They don't have that many Legionaries. I mainly have only ever seen, actually I've seen a lot of Hastati and Princeps, and like I said, just not a lot of the upper tier units for the Romans. Now, at this point, I was trying to catch the rams on fire, and it was it wasn't working, and I was like, why won't my archers shoot? And so basically, once it got to the point where my archers wouldn't shoot for a long time, and eventually I got them to start firing, but they kept wanting to go out of the gate, So I don't know why, but they kept wanting to go out of the gate to try and shoot at the ram. So I guess they can't shoot over palisades. So I was like, okay, screw that. We're gonna stop messing around with this. Once all their rams got into place, we basically just pulled all of our forces back to the town center, and we're gonna defend the town center because it's like I'm not gonna mess trying to defend all those breaches. So as you see, we are now setting up our forces here, and as you can see, kind of to the left of where I'm placing these Hastati, there's actually a road over there, or a street. I didn't actually know that at the time, so I kind of got lucky that they didn't really send that many units that way, because otherwise they would have completely gotten around behind my guys, because again, I didn't notice that like they could get over there at first. Yeah, so basically what we do is we set up all the Princeps on this side, as well as the Praetorians, I believe we send over here. Because the Praetorians are, because since we have the Princeps, I put our most elite unit over with the Princeps, since the Princeps aren't as good as the Legionaries. And then we put all the Legionaries over on the right side, because there's the left and the right street that leads to the town center. I mean, there's actually other ones, but they're way farther back. So, I actually have a similar mistake on the right side as well, where I actually position one of my units where their backs are completely exposed to a side street coming in, which I will you'll see that in just a moment. But yeah, as I said, I always like to put my most elite unit with my weaker units to kind of balance out the power. So like all my legionaries that are like decent, that are like solid, some basically like my baseline infantry, heavy infantry at this point. I always just use them together, and then if I have Princeps or early legionaries and a Praetorian, I'll put the Praetorian with the weaker units. And so, like I said, here I have all the legionaries on this side. I also have, since I have my 2 archer units, I also put 1 unit on either side covering each street so that they can fire down the streets as the enemy are advancing up. But I also had in mind to try and stop the archers from firing after the enemy had come up, because of course I'm not a big fan of my archers shooting into my own guys. Now of course the archers will fire over the guys, but what I meant is once we get engaged in melee, the archers will have a tendency to have some friendly fire when all the soldiers are mixed in. But as you kind of saw over there on the right side, there's that side alley that's coming in around the corner there, and I initially didn't realize that they could, well, I knew they could bring troops this way, but I didn't think they were going to. And actually when I noticed that they were, I positioned this back unit of legionaries facing the other direction. As you can see, oh no, I didn't have them facing the other direction. Okay, so I meant to have them face the other direction, and I actually end up forgetting to do that. So mistake there, as the enemy end up getting behind us to flank. And then here we have them closing in, so our archers will open fire. And then they actually got some units behind me, which I didn't notice because that big tree was blocking my vision, and I wasn't paying attention. So I actually have another mistake here. I have the back unit that's already engaged right there charge in, and then I have the unit that's in front charge back, I believe. So that was a big mistake there. Like, I did it backwards of what I should have done. I should have had the front unit charge, and then the back unit should have just stayed engaged because they already were engaged. Now at this point, I actually, since the legionaries kind of got flanked there, I actually send my 2 Hastati, which were kind of like my reserve units, over that way, because I'm actually fairly confident that, even though these are just Praetorians, I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a much better effect, because this is a proper corner flank, I guess you could say. I don't really know what you would describe it as, but it's, where you have this corner right here that the enemy comes into the corner and they're attacked from the front and one side. And as you can see, it's very effective, and they all begin to rout. Now, they actually start to rout on this side as well, because again, keep in mind, the Scipii have very weak units overall. They have a lot of Hastati, a lot of Princeps. They don't have that many legionaries, and I've never seen them have any urban cohorts. So overall, they're just the Scipii are just way behind the tech tree. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why. I guess it's just because they were weaker, because I stole all their thunder in North Africa. But here we have, kind of skipping ahead towards the end of this, we pretty much just chase them out of the settlement entirely, and yeah, so we successfully defend this place, and you can rest assured one of the first things I do after this battle is oh yeah, and that's a little side street I said. So they ended up sending a unit in after the rest of their army was already gone. So yeah, that's a pretty good victory there. We didn't lose that many guys at all. So yeah, now that we successfully defended that place once, you can be sure that I'm going to prioritize getting some stone walls built. And as you will see, first order of business, make sure we have stone walls being built there. I actually had an interesting dilemma here of if you upgrade the walls before you repair them, does that mean that the walls will still be damaged even when you upgrade them? If you know, please post down in the comments, because I was actually curious about that, because I have no idea. So I went ahead and just built the walls, and then I'll repair them afterwards if I need to. But it was just, I was very curious because I had no idea on that, honestly, because like if I upgraded the walls, would they still have all those holes in them back from when they were palisades? So yeah, if anyone knows, please let me know down in the comments. So as you saw there, I captured the Brutii settlement, and up here in the north, we're just kind of shuffling units around. Because some of the units are weak and we're pulling them back to be retrained because they have gained some experience, and we want to keep our veterans around. Others of them we are shifting also farther east to help with our planned offensive against the Brutii to the east. And besides that, here we have, this will be the last battle for this episode. Here in North Africa, we have our army that we gathered. This army we kind of we've rallied up after the defense of that. And we are now trying to make it to the settlement there. But the Scipii have an army that we're going to have to deal with first. So, right off the bat, for the deployment, as you see, a standard checkered board deployment. So yeah, we have this standard checkered board deployment. And then, of course, we put one unit of cavalry on the left flank to kind of help cover it. But I actually end up stacking all of my cavalry, all the rest of my cavalry on my right flank. And actually, if you see here, I have a unit of Roman cavalry, which is on the left flank, and then I have my 3 units of legionary cavalry, which are the more upgraded version of Roman cavalry. I have them all on my right flank, and so I'm stacking up cavalry heavily on my right flank because I want to completely surround the enemy. And so I'm gonna basically use those 3 units of cavalry, as you're about to see. We're going to sweep around their flank and basically completely engulf their army. And one of the reasons I did this is also, I should note, is because they actually have a Scorpion, I believe it is. They have some sort of artillery unit, and I am pretty scared. I'm pretty terrified of artillery units, actually. Even though they're not like great, they're actually still can be pretty devastating to infantry formations. So I always kind of want to. I always try and use my cavalry to strike them out, to strike at them and take them out as quickly as possible. Strike them out. I guess that we're not playing baseball. So here we have my cavalry coming around, and we're going to try and send one of them in to kill the Scorpion, and the other 2 we're going to keep unengaged to kind of get those flank charges off when we need them to. And we actually have already taken some fire from, I believe that is actually the Scorpion that's shooting at our cavalry right there. But yeah, here we go. We have the 1 unit going in to going after the Scorpion, because like I said, that's I want to take it out, and then the rest of the cavalry we basically just kind of keep at a safe distance from the main enemy army as we wait for the enemy to advance and engage with our lines, and then our cavalry will swoop in from behind and destroy them. And at that point, the Scorpion is routing, so we're going to pull our unit of cavalry out, and we're going to basically just get all these guys positioned properly, being careful to keep them a safe distance away from the enemy units, but also close enough in that they can that they'll be able to get the flank charges off on time when they need to. So, with the micromanaging of our cavalry force taken care of, we're going to now kind of come back over here. Now, the enemy actually does a similar thing where they send 3 units of cavalry onto my left flank. However, the big main difference here is that they are only equitas, which are like the basic level of Roman cavalry. And so, yeah, they don't do very good. Actually, one of them might be, I think one of them might be the Roman cavalry, but otherwise, they're all the light cavalry that is the equitas, so you can kind of probably imagine what's going to happen here as they charge in against my heavy cavalry, which are my Roman cavalry, which is heavy cavalry, with their light cavalry. You can probably predict that fairly easily, as well as I have several of my units, as you saw, engaged as well. Now, then we're going to bring this unit of legionary cavalry that's back behind that's far behind their right flank. We're going to bring them down to also get a flank charge off on the enemy cavalry and to help deal with them. And now obviously the downside is that our heavy cavalry is a little bit slow, but as you see, both their units just rout right away. Well, not right away, but they rout very quickly. At that point, I'm like, okay, well, Praetorians, we don't need to do that. So at this point, I kind of redirect my legionary cavalry over this way, and we're actually going to be very aggressive here on the left flank, because of course they've all begun to shift over to their right flank, which I kind of get why the AI did that, actually, because... Well, actually, I don't get why they did that. It's still probably a bad idea. But at this point, the AI is... They did the classic mistake of having their lines kind of crisscross right before they got engaged. So what ends up happening there is, if they had just maintained their line, they would have more or less been the same distance as my line. However, because they're now all more like more clumped up in the center, they're more heavily concentrated there, they are now much shorter than my line. So I can now flank them on I can now get around both their flanks with all my infantry. But I actually skipped ahead fairly far into this battle. Actually, no, not skipped ahead. I'm sorry. What am I saying? I didn't skip ahead at all yet. So here we have their main line gets engaged, and we pretty much just destroy them without too much trouble, really. Yeah, like I said, the Scipii, really outdated units compared to what we're using right now, and overall, I'm pretty sure I actually outnumbered them in this battle, or it was even numbers. So, in addition that I have lots of cavalry to play around with, I do actually really enjoy having lots of cavalry, because it allows me to pick and choose my flank charges and stuff a lot more than, if I only have 1 or 2 units of cavalry. It's like, well, we have to flank charge here, we have to flank charge there, and stuff like that. But this one, we can kind of be a little more picky. Or not really picky, but we can, send 1 unit in to do those necessary charges and then keep the other ones out to kind of wait until we want them to get engaged. But yeah, at this point, they're pretty much their own entire army is routing. And the other benefit of having lots of cavalry is that it also allows us to run down the enemy army very effectively. So now, obviously, I'm not doing a great job. I probably should have paused, but I didn't, so I just, kind of go on the fly with this. But the rest of the enemy army routes. Several of their units are trying to withdraw, I believe, because they want to try and not have a crushing defeat. But either way, that's just not going to happen for them. I hate to break it to the Scipii, but you guys are going to get destroyed. So at this point, we are coming to the end of this episode, as well as the end of this battle. I have to say, I really hope that the commentary wasn't terrible in this episode. I feel like it wasn't as good as some of my previous ones, and I'm going to try and work on keeping the commentary consistent, because I feel like that's the big thing. I've had some people comment very favorably on my commentary, and that's, I'm very grateful that you guys think it's good and stuff, but I also want to keep that quality, and also as well as improve upon it. So that's all the time we have for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check back for more Total War Through the Ages, and as always, till next time.